All right, welcome everyone. This week we would like to take a bit of a shift and discuss self care from an occupational therapy perspective. And as an OT, this topic is obviously very near and dear to my heart, as this is something I focused my research on over the last several years. So it might get a little bit long, but please stick with it. So this presentation is grounded in principles of OT and the holistic approach to self-care that can be used by exploring the 9 areas of occupation that we talk about in OT, everything from rest and play to work and social participation. So I'm going to briefly review OT's perspective as it relates to mindful self-care plans and the importance of a personalized self-care plan. Over the last several weeks, you've been exploring the opening and closing practices and sharing them with classmates. And I will just review a few other, or in addition to those strategies, some things that you might consider integrating, like mindfulness and gratitude, as well as movement, all aimed at helping you to reconnect with what truly nourishes you, and to identify strategies that might be included in your own self-care plan. So as a future practitioner in a helping profession, or someone who's currently in a helping profession, your time and energy is often directed towards meeting the needs of your clients and fulfilling workplace responsibilities. And while this is a large part of the role, it can also come at a cost of your own well-being, as we don't often prioritize our own needs over the needs of our clients. And when we minimize or don't consistently, or when we're consistently prioritizing others without our own adequate self-care plan, we are at risk of compassion fatigue, which we've talked about before. And over time, this can lead to burnout, disruption of work-life balance, and can contribute to both mental and physical health issues. And then this can ripple out, impacting our job performance, our satisfaction, and even overall life satisfaction. So by recognizing that these impacts can happen, we understand why self-care isn't a luxury. It's a professional and personal necessity, and quite honestly, the whole reason for this course. So occupational therapy teaches us that self-care is not just about bubble baths or vacations. It is about engaging in meaningful daily activities that support health, well-being, and our sense of purpose. So as we move through the presentation, we're going to explore the 9 areas of occupation from an OT lens and envision each as a potential opportunity for mindful self-care practices, even if these are small, intentional moments that you consider incorporating into your day, school day, work day, or future professional work day. So occupational therapists recognize that health and well-being are supported not just by what we do, but how we meaningfully engage in these everyday occupations or things that occupy our time. In the OT profession, the basis of many of our client interactions and interventions stem from what we refer to as the 9 areas of occupation. And these include activities of daily living, which we refer to as ADLs, instrumental activities of daily living, or IADLs, rest and sleep, education, work, play, leisure, social participation, and health management, and can encompass a full range of activities that take up our daily life. Health promotion and health management is a specific area of occupation that relates to developing, managing, maintaining health and wellness routines, and which is why the topic of self-care and professional resilience is so important to me, as this is something we can not only address with our clients, but also with ourselves and our intra-professional teams. So from an OT lens, each of these areas are I would consider an opportunity for mindful, or sometimes we call them micro self-care activities, which are brief but intentional practices that promote balance, can reduce stress, and build resilience. So, this holistic approach is what kind of sets occupational therapy apart from other professions, as we know that self care is not just one isolated task completed when we find extra time, but a way of engaging in all aspects of our life with purpose and presence. So, by embedding small, meaningful actions into our daily routines, we create sustainable practices that both support personal wellness and professional longevity. So, as I quickly review the 9 areas of occupation in the next slides, I want you to think about your own life. As I go through each category, you'll kind of understand how things fit into those different buckets. But on this screen, I want you to think about, as I keep talking, is there something small in your life that you could start doing that might have a positive impact on your own well-being? And you might want to take a picture or a screenshot of this particular slide because it has some quick ideas on it for these various categories, but I am going to go over them next in the following slides. I'll give a quick moment if you want to take a picture. All right, so now as we go over each of these categories, I'll kind of give a brief definition and then talk about some ideas from an OT perspective that might be considered mindful self-care tasks that you could consider integrating into your daily routines. So for ADLs, ADLs are the foundational self-care tasks. We think about them as grooming, bathing, getting dressed. Often overlooked, these are small actions, or we can consider them small actions, but we can integrate things that can ground us in the present. So for example, while you're completing ADL tasks, you might consider adding something on, like taking 5 minutes to intentionally wash your hands with warm soap and water and apply lotion with full attention to scent and texture. So these sensory moments can anchor you during a stressful day and could restore calm without needing to completely step away from what you're doing when you might feel in a stressful situation. So next is that IADL category, and these are instrumental activities of daily living. And these would be what we consider the more complex tasks that support independence, like cooking or cleaning or managing finances. And these too can be areas where you could incorporate self-care rituals. For example, making a cup of coffee or a cup of tea and actually sitting down and savoring that or enjoying it instead of rushing off to work with it in your hand or sitting down at your computer and answering emails. You might also think about a self-care as organizing your space. So spending 10 minutes decluttering your workspace, your room, or even your kitchen. I know that this often happens at our house where things collect in that area and that can be really stressful. So these can reduce the mental load and improve focus. And these tasks can become rejuvenating when done with purpose or mindfulness. And next is the categories of work and play. So work is or will become central to your identity in a helping profession, but it doesn't have to be the main, it doesn't have to be about constant productivity. So embedding brief moments of intention within your workday can transform your relationship to it. You might try starting or ending your day with a short gratitude journal. What went well during your day? What did you learn? Or simply pause for a deep breath before starting a homework assignment or when you arrive to work at your job site. These small rituals can help connect you to your purpose and decrease pressure. And next is the category of play. And we all know play isn't just for kids, it's essential for adults as well. And play can be spontaneous and joyful and refreshing. Um, it might be something, just thinking of something fun and brief. It might be a word game or a funny video or even just doodling in a notebook. You can bring play or humor into your career by storytelling or even just, allowing yourself to be more joyful and smile more. The key is to let go of outcomes and focus on the actual enjoyment of the activity that you're participating in. The next categories are leisure and health management. So, a leisure activity is a freely chosen activity that brings peace or pleasure. So, it's different from play, it's more about relaxation and spontaneity. So, during the day, this might mean for you stepping outside for a 5-minute walk or going out into the natural surroundings, enjoying a quiet moment with a book or doing a crossword puzzle, taking a walk with a friend or a colleague. The goal isn't to be productive in the moment. It's simply about enjoying that time, even if it's just for 5 minutes. These pauses can refill your cup. And moving to health management, this would include both physical and mental wellness if we're looking at it from an OT perspective. So this could be integrating short self-care routines into your workday that make a big difference. Again, this could be going for a walk around the building, doing standing stretches at your desk or in your workspace, or even just actually pausing to take a drink of water instead of always doing everything on the go. You might even jot down a quick note about how you're feeling physically or emotionally, or send a card of gratitude to a coworker. These are how we reclaim our health, even just in brief moments of time. So next is rest and sleep. And these are vital, but sometimes often sacrificed, especially during busy times, busy semesters. And even if a nap isn't possible, a few minutes of intentional rest can make a difference. This might be 5 minutes of a breathing exercise or a body scan. This could be at your desk, your workspace, in your room, or just a quiet area. Closing your eyes and simply being able to be still can help your nervous system reset, allowing you to return to whatever task or your work and be more present in that moment. And then next is social participation. This connects us with others and allows us to have meaningful relationships and protective against compassion fatigue and burnout. In the middle of a workday, you might think about sending a colleague a quick note of appreciation. I already mentioned that. Or having a short check-in with a peer or a mentor, or even chatting with someone while you wait for your coffee. These interactions help us feel seen, supported, and human in a fast-moving world. And then next is the category of education. So as lifelong learners, we often prioritize, teaching others over our own learning. But engaging with new ideas can actually be part of our self-care plan. Learning new things can be something that fills our cup. And if we allow ourselves to do it mindfully and intentionally versus it being just another task that we have to check off. So taking 5 minutes to read an article or watching a video that excites you or inspires you, not because you have to, but because you want to, would be a great self-care activity. And this kind of self-directed education can reinvigorate your curiosity and reignite your passion for your career. So as you can see, self-care and the creation of a self-care plan doesn't just live in one category. It's not just about engaging in a mindfulness practice or writing in a journal. It's woven and should be woven throughout our entire day. And when we view these everyday occupations as potential sources of renewal, we can shift from surviving our workday to truly sustaining ourselves through them. It doesn't require an overhaul of our lives, just small, consistent, or intentional actions. So when you align your routines with your needs, self care becomes more sustainable and part of your professional identity. So as you reflect on the information in this presentation, just take a pause. And in the 9 areas that we explored, consider which one have you been neglecting? What is one small 5 or 10 minute mindful self care activity that you could try tomorrow? Remember, your well being will be just as important as the work that you do. In fact, it's essential to sustaining it. So today, you can start with one small, meaningful step. So I encourage you to reflect on that and identify one thing that you think you might be able to integrate into your daily routine. These are just my brief references for the PowerPoint. Thank you for listening, and please reach out if you have any questions.